let's talk about the off-brand finals first. Before we talk about the off-brand finals, I hope everyone had a happy Juneteenth. I hope you celebrated. I hope you understood what Juneteenth is, what Juneteenth means to America, what Juneteenth means to Black America, and that you spread knowledge about Juneteenth. Yeah, it became a federal holiday this year. I believe that's a step in the right direction. It starts the conversation, but we can't stop that conversation with a holiday. We got to continue to press forward and demand equality for Black people. But let's talk about the off-brand finals. So look at the teams that are in the Final Four for the NBA this year. I promise you that there is not a gambler in America who got these four teams right. And if they did, they didn't do it because they believed it. It was just a wild guess. So in the East, we have the Bucks, who I have going to the finals, even though I said Brooklyn versus everybody. But that was pre-injury. I predicted the Bucks going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Then we have the Hawks. The biggest Hawks fan did not see this team ending up in the Final Four this year. I don't care what they say. If you did, you're a crazy fan who you know what? You're a crazy fan or a great predictor. But if you sent the money to Vegas, more power to you. Then on the Western Conference side, we have the Suns and the Clippers. And not that we wouldn't think that the Suns or Clippers could have made it based on what we've seen in the regular season. The teams and the players have reputations. You know, Chris Paul gets hurt and just doesn't deliver in the playoffs. That's his reputation. The Clippers, they're going to Clipper. You know, they went down 0-2 in both their first and second round series. So we just don't expect the Clippers to actually make it, you know? And I look at these four teams, and I call it the off-brand finals because you don't have any of the big name teams. You don't have any of the big market teams that people care about. Yes, the Clippers are in a big market, but nobody cares about the Clippers in that big market. Okay? You don't have the LeBron and AD. You don't have your big three, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. You know, you don't have the process, which we'll get to a little bit later. All the super teams, huh? So it really beckons the question, what do you need to win a championship? Is it depth or should you be top heavy? Because for so long, we have seen a lot of top heavy teams win championships. But in this season, it looks like the teams with depth are the ones that are going to win. If you look at even the Clippers, you'll say, oh, they got Kawhi and Paul George. Well, Kawhi is hurt, and I don't see Kawhi coming back. But then they have Rondo, who plays one game, doesn't play another game. They have Boogie Cousins, who may play one game, doesn't play another game. You have Terrence Mann, who may play 10 minutes one game, who may score 39 points in a closeout game. You have a very, very deep roster that Ty Lue is using to its maximum capacity. We'll get to Ty Lue a little bit later in that roster. So with this off-brand finals, I just wonder, will this usher in an era of high-end talent with more depth as opposed to getting the highest end of talent and leaving yourself vulnerable on the back end? Because you see what happened to Brooklyn. You get a crippled James Harden and no Kyrie, and you have no roster. You have only one person that you can rely on. You look at the Hawks. Trae Young has a terrible game in game 7, but you have a Herter who can step up and pick up the slack. You have a DeAndre Hunter who's out with injury, but you have other players on that team who can carry the slack. You have a Bogdanovic who has been hurt. Bogey's been hurt. He got hurt in game 6, but still, the Hawks were able to pick up the slack to end the process. So what I think that this is going to usher in a new era of depth. Teams are going to look to have 1 to 2 really good players, and then they're going to fill out their rosters with supporting players instead of trying to find that one player or excuse me, those three players to build out a big three, or do like Golden State did and luck yourself into a big four.